Have you ever committed to intermittent fasting with complete seriousness? You set your eating window, you skipped breakfast, you pushed through the morning hunger with black coffee and sheer willpower. You watched the clock until noon, finally ate, and told yourself, this is it. This is the approach that's going to change everything. And then weeks passed, maybe even months. The scale barely moved. Your energy stayed flat. The mental clarity everyone online promised you never quite arrived. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet, uncomfortable question started forming. Is something wrong with me? Is my metabolism just broken? Or is fasting simply not built for my body? Here's what I want you to hear before anything else. Nothing is wrong with you. Your discipline was real. Your effort was genuine. But there is a very good chance you've been given an incomplete picture of how fasting actually works inside your body. And that missing piece has nothing to do with how long you fast. It has everything to do with when you fast. That single distinction, the timing rather than the duration, changes everything. And by the time we finish today, you'll understand your body in a way that most people, even dedicated fasters, never do. Your body is not a simple machine that burns fat the moment you stop eating. It is an extraordinarily intelligent biological system that operates on a 24-hour internal clock, a clock that determines when fat burning becomes efficient, when your cells begin deep repair, when hormones rise to protect your muscle, and when your metabolism is most capable of handling the energy you put into it. When you fast in alignment with that clock, everything begins to work. When you fast against it, even perfect discipline produces frustrating results. This is the truth most fasting content never tells you clearly enough. To understand why timing matters so much, we first have to understand what actually happens inside your body the moment you finish a meal, because this process is the foundation of everything. Every time you eat, regardless of whether it's a full meal or just a coffee with milk and sugar, your body immediately shifts into what we can call processing mode. Carbohydrates break down into glucose. That glucose enters your bloodstream, and blood sugar rises. Your pancreas, sensing this rise, releases insulin. And insulin, think of it as a highly disciplined warehouse manager, goes to work immediately. It signals your cells to open their doors, absorb the glucose, and either use it for energy or store it for later. This is normal. This is essential. Without insulin, you couldn't survive. But here is where the story gets complicated. As long as insulin is elevated in your bloodstream, your body is physically incapable of releasing stored fat. Not because your metabolism is slow or broken, because biology simply does not allow fat release under high insulin conditions. Elevated insulin sends one clear message to your fat cells. We have incoming energy. Stay locked. So even if you're carrying tens of thousands of calories in stored body fat, your body behaves as if those reserves don't exist. It won't touch them. It can't. Insulin is holding the door shut. This processing phase after a meal typically lasts around 4 to 6 hours under ideal conditions. But in real life, many everyday habits extend this window far longer than people realize. A meal high in refined carbohydrates, a sweetened drink, a seemingly harmless flavored coffee in the morning, an afternoon snack that felt too small to count. Each of these triggers a fresh insulin response. Each one resets the metabolic clock back to processing mode. The result is that many people spend nearly their entire waking day in a state where fat burning is biologically blocked. They're not overeating dramatically. They're just never giving insulin enough time to fully fall. And this creates a strange, deeply uncomfortable experience that many fasters know well. You're hungry, genuinely hungry, but you're not burning fat. Your glucose is dropping, But fat hasn't been given permission to enter the system yet. Your brain, which depends on a steady fuel source, starts to panic. Energy drops, focus scatters, irritability rises. You feel worse than you did before you started fasting. And because no one explained this transition phase to you, you assume fasting simply doesn't work for your body. But what you were actually experiencing was not a failure of fasting. It was your body stuck in a metabolic gray zone, waiting for insulin to fall far enough to finally open the door to fat storage.
That door opens, for most people, somewhere between 12 and 16 hours after their last meal. This is not an arbitrary number pulled from a wellness blog. It reflects the natural biological sequence your body follows once food processing is complete. During the early hours of fasting, your body first burns through its liver glycogen, the short-term storage form of glucose. The adult liver holds roughly 100 to 120 grams of glycogen. As fasting continues and those reserves deplete, the body faces a clear question: where does the next source of energy come from? And the answer is stored fat, but only once insulin has dropped low enough to allow it.
When that threshold is crossed, fat cells finally receive the signal to open their reserves. Fatty acids are released into the bloodstream, carried to the liver, and converted into ketones. Ketones are not the dangerous emergency fuel people sometimes fear. They are a clean, stable, associated with energy scarcity, begin to quiet down. At the same time this metabolic switch occurs, another hormone quietly but powerfully rises: growth hormone. Many people fear that not eating will cause the body to cannibalize muscle for fuel, but human biology is far more sophisticated than that. Growth hormone has two primary jobs during fasting: accelerate fat mobilization and protect lean tissue. It evolved as a survival mechanism for exactly this purpose. Losing muscle during periods of food scarcity would have been catastrophic for our ancestors, so the body developed a hormonal safeguard to prevent it. When you fast correctly and consume adequate protein within your eating window, you are not sacrificing muscle. You are allowing biology to do something it was literally designed to do. This is why the popular 16-8 fasting model works well for so many people. Not because of any magic in the number, but because 16 hours is typically long enough to activate the metabolic switch, while being short enough to avoid placing excessive stress on the hormonal and nervous systems. It hits the biological sweet spot, where glycogen depletes, insulin falls, fat stores open, ketones rise, and growth hormone increases, all within a daily cycle the body can repeat sustainably. But fasting doesn't stop there. When you extend beyond 16 hours and move toward the 20 to 24-hour range, something even more remarkable begins to unfold. This is where fasting shifts from a weight loss strategy into something far deeper: cellular maintenance and renewal. A biological process called autophagy begins to significantly accelerate. While the word literally translates to self-eating, a far more accurate description is intelligent self-cleaning and resource optimization. Under normal eating conditions, your body constantly receives amino acids from food to support growth and repair. When fasting extends and that external supply pauses, cells begin a detailed internal inspection. Damaged proteins, dysfunctional mitochondria, accumulated cellular debris, even invading bacteria or viruses, are identified, enclosed within a specialized membrane structure, and broken down into their basic components. Those components aren't discarded. They're recycled into new, healthier cellular material. Think of it like a long overdue deep clean of your home. Over time, broken items pile up, unused things accumulate, and functionality slowly declines. A deep clean doesn't destroy the house. It removes what no longer serves a purpose, restores order, and makes everything function better. Autophagy does this at the cellular level.
This is why it's closely linked to aging and chronic disease. When autophagy functions well, cells remain cleaner, mitochondria produce energy more efficiently, and inflammatory signals decrease. When autophagy is chronically suppressed, which happens when insulin is persistently elevated from constant eating throughout the day, cellular waste accumulates over time and contributes to metabolic dysfunction, inflammation, and accelerated biological aging.
When fasting extends further into the 24 to 48-hour range, the body enters an even more fully adapted fasted state. Growth hormone, already elevated earlier in the fast, can rise to approximately 5 times its normal levels by the 48-hour mark. This dramatic increase serves a dual purpose, maximizing fat mobilization while simultaneously preventing muscle breakdown. Ketone levels stabilize, and the brain begins to rely on them as its primary fuel. Many people describe this phase with remarkably similar language: sharper thinking, steady focus, a calm alertness without the energy crashes they experience in normal daily life. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes complete sense. A brain that became foggy and slow during periods of food scarcity would have been a survival liability. So, the human body evolved to enhance cognitive function precisely when food was unavailable.
That said, extended fasting is not appropriate for everyone and should never be treated as a competition. If during a prolonged fast, you experience severe dizziness that doesn't improve, heart palpitations, confusion, or weakness so intense it affects your ability to function, these are not signs that you're pushing through a tough phase. They are clear biological signals to stop. Fasting is a tool. Tools work best when used correctly and with respect for individual limits. Now, we arrive at what is arguably the most important and most overlooked aspect of this entire conversation. Not how long you fast, but when your eating window actually falls in the day. This is where most fasting plans silently fail. The human body runs on a 24-hour circadian rhythm, an internal biological clock that governs hormones, body temperature, digestion, and critically, how efficiently it processes glucose and insulin. And that efficiency is not constant throughout the day.
Research consistently shows that insulin sensitivity is highest in the morning and gradually declines as the day progresses. By evening, your body's ability to process the same glucose can be roughly 17% lower than it was in the morning. The same meal, same calories, same nutrients, produces an entirely different metabolic response depending on when it enters your body. When you eat earlier in the day, insulin responds quickly and efficiently. Glucose is cleared from the bloodstream smoothly. Less energy spills over into fat storage, and your body has the entire evening and night to return to fat burning and cellular repair. When you eat late, especially a large dinner at 8 or 9 at night, you are introducing a significant energy load precisely when your body is biologically winding down and least equipped to handle it. Insulin must work harder. Glucose lingers in the bloodstream longer. Fat storage becomes more likely.
And the repair processes that should be running through the night are delayed while your body stays busy processing food. This explains a pattern that countless people experience without ever understanding why. They skip breakfast every morning. They fast diligently on paper. Their eating window looks perfect, but they eat their biggest meal late in the evening, and they wonder why results never come. Biologically, their fasting window exists, but it's positioned in entirely the wrong place. They're fasting during the hours when their body was most capable of processing food, and eating during the hours when their biology is winding down for repair. It's the metabolic equivalent of trying to clean a house in complete darkness. The work can technically happen, but at a far higher cost and with far lower effectiveness.
The science supporting this is not theoretical. In a landmark study by circadian rhythm researcher Sachin Panda, 2 groups of mice were fed the exact same food, the same calories, the same high-fat diet. The only variable was timing. One group had access to food around the clock. The other ate within a restricted 8 to 12-hour window each day. The time-restricted group was leaner, metabolically healthier, and showed significantly fewer signs of metabolic disease, despite consuming identical calories. This was a direct challenge to the long-standing belief that calories alone determine metabolic outcomes.
Then came the human evidence. A tightly controlled study published in Cell Metabolism in 2018 recruited men with prediabetes and divided them into two groups eating the same foods and the same number of calories. One group ate within an early window, from 8 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. The other followed a conventional 12-hour window. After 5 weeks, the early eating group showed a 36% improvement in insulin sensitivity, a meaningful drop in blood pressure, and significantly reduced markers of oxidative stress. And here is the part that changes everything. They did not lose weight. These metabolic improvements happened before the scale moved. This tells us that the body begins healing from the inside long before any external measurement reflects it. Timing does not just influence weight, it influences how every cell in your body functions.
So, if you had to choose one meal to skip, should it be breakfast or dinner? The science points clearly in one direction. Skipping dinner, or at minimum eating it significantly earlier, is biologically more advantageous than skipping breakfast for most people. Morning and early afternoon are when insulin sensitivity peaks, when digestive efficiency is highest, and when your body is most prepared to receive and process energy. Evening and night are biologically designed for slowing down, repairing, and resting, not for managing large incoming energy loads.
When you skip breakfast but eat late at night, you create a direct mismatch with your biology. You fast during your metabolic peak and eat during your metabolic low point. In contrast, when you eat earlier and finish earlier, you allow energy to be processed during the hours your body handles it best. Nighttime becomes a natural, extended fasting and repair window that flows seamlessly into sleep. Fasting is no longer something you endure. It becomes a natural extension of your body's own rhythm.
And practically speaking, this shift doesn't require dramatic changes. You don't need to eat at dawn or eliminate dinner entirely. Simply moving dinner from 9 at night to 6 or 7 in the evening gives your body 2 to 3 additional hours each night to lower insulin, stabilize hormones, and activate recovery. Those hours, quiet and invisible as they are, carry more biological value than adding another hour of morning fasting ever could. Consistency also matters deeply. Eating at roughly the same times each day helps your body anticipate food, prepare digestive enzymes, and optimize insulin response. Irregular timing, the kind that shifts dramatically between weekdays and weekends, disrupts the internal clock and silently undermines the results you're working toward.
The bigger shift being asked of you today is not a change in your meal plan. It's a change in how you think about your body. Your body has never been working against you. It has always been trying to function according to its own design. The frustration you felt was not a sign of failure. It was a sign that something was misaligned. When you stop treating fasting as an endurance test and start treating it as a conversation with your biology, everything changes. Fat loss, cellular repair, hormonal balance. These are not rewards for suffering. They are natural outcomes of giving your body the conditions it was built for. Eat when your biology is ready to receive food. Fast when your biology is designed to rest and repair. Move your eating window earlier when you can. Keep it consistent. And stop measuring success only by what the scale says each morning, because the most important changes are happening at a level far deeper than any number can capture. Your cells are cleaning themselves. Your hormones are balancing. Your metabolism is learning to trust the pattern you're giving it. That process is quiet, invisible, and profoundly real. And it began the moment you started understanding your body instead of fighting it.